Good morning, Tahoe. We are going to call this meeting of the TRPA Operations and Governance Committee to order. The date is Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, and it is 8:38. I apologize for the late start this morning. We're waking up here. The first item on the agenda is the roll call to determine a quorum. Maria?
Mr. DeCara?
Here.
Mr. Bass? Ms. Gustafson?
Here.
Ms. Hill?
Here.
Ms. Lane?
Here.
Mr. Rice? Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, and welcome Mr. DeCara, who's sitting in for Francisco Aguilar this morning. We appreciate you being online. Let's go over the remote and in-person meeting rules for the day. For members of the public who are planning to join us remotely, you can observe the meeting by going to trpa.gov and under the calendar header, click on Governing Board Hybrid Meeting for June 25th, 2025. There you will find a link to the public webinar hosted on Zoom. To address the committee members directly with your comments, please raise your hand in Zoom by clicking the raise hand at the bottom of your screen at the appropriate agenda item. With your hand raised, you will be unmuted by TRPA staff and will have 3 minutes to address the committee. To remote committee members, if you wish to speak, please also raise your hand in Zoom. You will find the hand icon on the bottom of your screen. Remote members may not use the chat box to make any comments or to have sidebar conversations. Please, everyone, remember to mute your mic unless you are speaking to cut down on the background noise. Finally, I would also like to ask all remote members to turn on your cameras if you are able. The first item on the agenda is the public comment period for items on the agenda. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee on an agenda item may do so at this time. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Are there any public in the room that would like to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll ask if there's any online participants.
There are no hands raised for public comment online.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comment. The next item is approval of the agenda. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay, great. We'll go ahead and deem the agenda approved as posted. We're now on agenda item number 3, which is approval of the minutes. Committee members, you can find this in our packet starting on page 13. Are there any members of the committee who wish to make any changes? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve.
So moved,
to make it easy.
Madam Chair.
Yep. There you go. Thank you, Ms. Hill. It was moved by Ms. Hill. Are there any further comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the minutes by asking for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. We'll now move to item number 4, which is discussion and possible recommendation for approval of the May financials. Information on this can be found on page 85. I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Cox to present this item.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me this morning. Chad Cox, TRPA CFO for the record. Hey, we're a couple of highlights kicking off this morning. Budget-wise, we're in good shape. The California budget passed and the TRPA appropriations are in there as expected, including the salary increase budget change proposal or BCP, which is good. So I know we'll be talking about the budget later today as part of the board meeting, but that's good news. From a Nevada perspective, the legislative session completed on June 6th. And our budget items were complete and closed well. And that it did include the $419,000 of air quality funds. There was a bill that went through to enable that, AB 545. So there was a little concern partway through the session that might get hung up, but that's through as well. So from a state perspective, we are as expected. going into fiscal year 26. So we'll cover that a little more at the board meeting. In terms of revenue, May fiscal year to date, we're at 71% of the budget. And actually our planning fees met the budget in May. So we typically would get there towards the end of the fiscal year. So we've actually got 1 full month of planning still to occur. So we're gonna be more than the budget for planning fees, which is really a function of volume. We have more kind of more activity going on than we had anticipated. So that's good news for the agency. We're busy. From an expenditures perspective, we're at 68% of the budget. Let me jump to the next page here, which is revenue by detail. State revenue, as I mentioned, for this year is and similar to prior is fully been received. Grant income is at $6.5 million, which is 44% of the budget. We'll be doing our final grant invoicing here in June and July as we finalize the fiscal year. I don't think we're going to fully get to the $14.8 million budget, mainly because of infrastructure grant on the AIS side. There was some time this year where that got stalled, and we will pick those back up, but those will push into fiscal year 26. I think we'll probably get to 65 to 70% of the figure for the year. So no concerns. It's just kind of an implementation timing thing. And thankfully those funds have freed back up and will be part of the fiscal year 2026 budget. Fees for service, as I mentioned, the planning fees are at budget. The shoreline and AIS fees will continue to come in as expected, since we've seen, kind of the ramp up of boating again as we've gotten into the season. So we should be there or thereabout for the fees for service for the year. Local revenue have been received. The rent revenue is actually more than budgeted, and that's namely because when we put the budget together, at the time we had held that number flat, and as I came on board, we ensured that all the escalations that we have as part of our leases got updated, and so we will be a little bit more than budget for the year, but that has been included in our next year's budget. So, and then finally on the other revenue, that's namely our investment income. As we book investment income on our California funds in the LAIF account, those are booked quarterly. So as we book our fourth quarter interest income on LAIF, we should get to the budget. So overall, looking good from a revenue perspective. And then I guess the finalized mitigation revenues are at $3.1 million year to date. So any questions?
Any questions of my colleagues? No questions? Okay, I have just one,
Yeah,
and that
please.
is, if we're behind on the collection of the grant revenue, are expenses lagging behind as well?
Yes.
Okay,
So when we jump and flip over to the expense side, you'll also see contract expenses are at 53%. So they're also, basically those pass through. In the end of the year, the grant revenue and expense should be neutral.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Great question. Yeah, jumping over to expenses on the next page. We've incurred a total of $20.6 million of expenses year to date. This is 68% of the budget. Compensation is right on track at 93% through, effectively 93% of the year, 11/12 of the year. Yeah, you can see there, Brooke, contracts are at 53%. So as we see grant revenue step up to, like I said, 65 to maybe 75%, those contracts will go up as well. Those two are more or less in lockstep. From a financing perspective, we made that payment at the end of May. So as we reconcile our cash bank recs and our cash counts, those will land as anticipated. That $622,000 budget for financing, interest, and principal payments will be right on track. And then from another perspective, this is also on plan, and I don't anticipate us having any issues there either. From a mitigation expense perspective, we've spent $1 million. We've approved close to $2.3 million of mitigation projects this year. 1.1 was approved last meeting for purchase of an adjacent property to the Van Sickle
right.
State Park.
Right.
That went, the wire transfer went out yesterday. So we'll see that in the June financials. So, as we get through the end of the year, we'll brought in roughly, that $3.1 million of mitigation income, offset by $2.3 million of mitigation expenses is where I think we'll probably land for the year. So we're continuing to use those monies as anticipated. Any questions on the expenses?
Questions from my colleagues on the expenses? No, I don't see any. Good
Morning.
morning. I know,
morning.
it's okay. Construction season
Yeah.
is alive and well. Ms. Gustafson has just arrived in the room to join us.
Good. So finishing here on the final slide for cash flow, we're at $2.6 million of positive cash flow year to date. This is, you expect to spend this down, but this also includes mitigation. So, as we spend down the mitigation and we finish up June, we'll land neutral, right? We're not expecting at the end of the year to have any proceeds. Right, we're not in that type of business. So yeah, as we go here, it looks good. For the month itself, we had $3 million of receipts driven by grant income or grant invoicing and our fees, and payroll and accounts payable was a $1.8 million in disbursement. So, bottom line here is as that wire transfer went out as I planned. As we do AP for the final month of the fiscal year and payroll, we'll get close to neutral for the year, which is what we'd expect.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, that's the expenses, revenue, and cash. I don't know if there's any additional questions.
Any additional questions? No? Okay.
Great.
Ms. Hill, Mr. DeShara?
No, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and ask if well, we don't have to take public comment. I gotta get used to
No, we
this.
didn't.
All right, so with no further comments, may we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms.
Second.
Gustafson. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Any further comments? We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. DeCara,
Aye.
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yeah.
Ms. Gustafson. Yes. Mr. Rice, Ms. Lane,
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. That'll bring us to our upcoming topics and back to you, Mr. Cox.
Great. Yeah. So, upcoming, we're going to be shifting over to audit season. That's where my team will be focused. So in July, we won't plan on having an ops meeting unless there's another need for, mitigation funds or something like that. But currently, we'll be, like I said, shifting over to doing the budget. We will resume monthly financials in August. We'll do a treasurer's report again in October. And then we're shooting to get shorten the cycle on the audit. We're about a month kind of lagged this year and landed in January. We're trying to pull that into November, December timeframe. The team's already kicked off the interim process, which is great. So we've been working with our auditors over the last couple of weeks to provide stuff that we can upfront. We'll close the fiscal year here in July, finish the invoicing, and then the fun work begins of just ensuring that we've got all things accrued, invoiced, et cetera, to put that audit package together for you all to review here in the fall. I don't know if you have any questions, or maybe this is a time to see if there's anything that you'd like to see from this committee. If you have anything you'd like,
Okay,
we can add to the list.
all right. Are there any questions regarding the audit or any topics that committee members would like to see agendized in the future? Nope. We're on your program, I think, Mr. Cox.
Good.
Yep,
Good.
that's right.
It's been good. Oh, great, thanks then. I think that covers it then.
Okay,
Quick
great.
one today. Yep.
This was an informational only item. Any questions from the committee? No? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to item number 6, which are committee member comments. Are there any comments from committee members at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to our final matter of business, which is our general public interest comment period. Any member of the public wishing to address the Operations and Governance Committee on any item listed or not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Are there any comments from members of the public in person? Seeing none, we'll go online.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised for public comment.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and close the public comment period, and we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Mr. Bass, do you want to continue this meeting?
I
always love-
will
oh, there-
definitely move the motion.
Thank you. We'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.